Sir Frank Reynolds established the Umdoni Park Trust to manage and administer the finances of the Umdoni Park Estate, Botha House and the golf course on behalf of the people of South Africa. Botha House was originally developed by Sir Frank for the use of the Prime Ministers of the newly formed Union of South Africa. Over the years, the lovely old building has undergone many upgrades, renovations and refurbishments, and today the historic Botha House provides accommodation and a venue which can be hired by the public for weddings, conferences and other events. The story goes that at some point in early 1919, Prime Minister Louis Botha, whilst visiting his friend Sir Frank at Umdoni Park, expressed a desire to build a beach cottage for his wife Annie, and he asked Sir Frank if he would assist him in obtaining some land in the vicinity. Apparently Sir Frank remembered that Lord Lee of Farnham had donated his private property, Chequers, to the British nation for the use of its prime ministers. Inspired by Lord Lee's gift to the British nation and Louis Botha's desire for a beach house, Sir Frank resolved to build a house at Umdoni Park for his friend. He envisaged a house that could be used by South African prime ministers in a similar way to which Chequers is used. Street Wilson, the same renowned architectural firm who designed Linton Hall, was commissioned by Sir Frank to design Botha House. By June 1919, Sir Frank had started on the foundations of Botha Cottage, later known as Botha House, on the northeast section of Umdoni Park overlooking the sea. However, on 27 August 1919, less than 3 months after work on Botha House began, General Louis Botha unexpectedly died. Despite his disappointment and distress at the loss of his friend, Sir Frank decided to continue with the construction of Botha House. Hey guys, it's JP here from Hey USA. We've got Mary here. Today we are visiting the Botha House in Pennington. This place has got a lot of history to it. It's a beautiful place. Mary, if you would like to give us the tour around the place, and she's going to explain to us exactly what she knows, the history of the place, and things that you need to know.
Absolutely, Mary? Great. Thank you very much. I shall do that. All right, let's start. This is the reception area. Just so that you know, this door was never here. What they used to do was enter from the back of the house, come round here, and this was always the front entrance to Botha House in Annie's day. So she would come in there. Annie used to spend time sitting under the stairs eating biltong, and when she had young children here, they would hang over the banister and wait for Annie to invite them to come and get a piece of biltong from her. And I got that from her grandson, Louis Botha, who obviously was named after his grandfather, General Louis Botha. So this is the reception area, and always was the reception area. What we now call the library. You will see up here there's an old painting of the golf club, and you will see how the golf club has changed nowadays. That's an original photograph of Botha House, and you will see that you entered from here. They used to enter from the back, and as I said, come round, park there and drop the guests off. They would then drive to the garage, either park in the garage or go all the way around and out. Upstairs there were 6 bedrooms. There were 4 singles and 2 doubles and 2 bathrooms. Now we have 4 doubles, all with bathrooms en suite. And I'll take you up and show those. But that was the original house. The swimming pool is here, which wasn't there obviously in those days. So that's what it looked like in about 1920 through to 1937. Okay. Then over here we have a beautiful desk. Louis Botha unfortunately never sat at the desk because, you know, he died before the house was finished. but there is a portrait of General Louis Botha sitting at his desk in Pretoria, working and doing his work. And then just to the right of that is his birth memorial at the farm where he was born. These are reputedly Annie's shoes. I'm not sure if they were, but they're reputedly Annie's shoes, and they were made in Brazil. So there you go. We have, let me show you this. Annie had this done. This is a stamp for the house, an embossing stamp. And there you'll see how it's embossed and stamped. And Annie had that to stamp on all her correspondence and all her envelopes. She would emboss the envelopes and stamps. This side are the good books, some of them quite expensive. This side are the more modern books. All the original furniture is teak, and some is still here, like that is original. If you see furniture with that sort of detail at the top and the handles, that's original furniture, and it's all teak. So that's the study, and as you'll see, there's an entrance out to the terrace, so you can use it. You know, you can sit here and pop out to the terrace. This is the original downstairs toilet, if you're interested, and again a teak, original teak chest of drawers. Then we have a bust of General Louis Botha. That bust was found. A gentleman, Mr. Love, who was an antiques dealer, went overseas to the UK, and he found this bust on a farm buried under all straw, and realized the importance and immediately recognized who it was. And he came to speak to Mr. Crooks on his return in 1964, I think it was, or 69, spoke to Mr. Crooks, explaining to him about the bust, and they brought it into the country, and there he stands. This is what we now call the breakfast room, but it was the dining room. And again, you can see the original teak furniture. The tables and chairs are not original, but that certainly is. And if you ever look up here, what's very interesting are the plans of the original house. And you'll see here that it was William Street Wilson and John Wallace Peyton who were the architects, and the plans were drawn in November 1918. All of the crockery here, when I started here, I went up to the attic and I found 16 crates. And I found all this crockery. I found a whole lot of Botha House embossed cutlery, and I found documents and letters and all sorts of interesting stuff about Botha House and Umdoni Park. So we bought that out of the crates, and we've now got it on display. Of course, we've got the little hatch here where they used to serve the meals through the hatch. So they wouldn't come in, meals would be served through the hatch.
So if you looked at this is where they
would have had their meals.
Yes. And it was just
other than the children had to go to the back of the house, which I'll show you.
Wow.
And I don't know if now's the time. Perhaps now's the time to talk about it. But you know, Frank Reynolds, who is here. That's Sir Frank Reynolds. That's his portrait that's hanging in the lounge by Roworth. He owned all this property. He bought it from the Pennington family and owned all this property. And then in May 1920, March 1920, he bequeathed Umdoni Park, including Botha House, to the South African nation, on the understanding that Annie Botha would be able to live in the house for the remainder of her life, and that from then on, prime ministers and or presidents of the day could use it as a holiday residence. So that's how it all started. I think a man of incredible foresight to have left all of this to the African nation. And there you'll see there's Louis Botha, there's Molly Reynolds, there's Sir Frank Reynolds, and there's Annie. And they used to spend, and that's at Linton Hall. And they used to spend quite a lot of time with Sir Frank at Linton Hall. The two of them became very, very good friends. And it was General Louis Botha who once said to Frank Reynolds, would you find me a piece of land here and build a holiday cottage for me for Annie? And this is the holiday cottage for Annie. And then, as I say, he died before it was finished, so sadly he never saw it finished.
Oh, that's sad.
It is sad,
It
isn't
is sad,
it? Yeah.
actually.
But Annie did. She initially used it as a holiday home. She'd come down here for the winter months and stay in Pretoria for the summer months. And then about 5 years before she died, and she died in 1937, she lived here permanently. And she died in the house.
Wow.
Mm. So this was always here, and there I think that's a lovely portrait. General Louis Botha keeping his eye on you as you come up and down the stairs. Here, that portrait arrived here in 1921. It was delivered in 1921. And it was completed using paintings and his photographs and pictures and drawings of General Louis Botha. And then on the right at the top on the landing, you have Annie. Who I think she must have been quite a tough lady, because if you think about it, she lived here for reputedly about 5 years, and there was nothing here. Pennington wasn't here. There were no shops around here. There were, and she was essentially on her own here. I'm sure she had lots of visitors staying with her. There you go. Okay, so now, as I say, we have 4 bedrooms, 4 double bedrooms, all with bathroom en suite, as opposed to the 6 originally. This is the Deluxe Suite. Again, original chest of drawers there, you can see. And interesting thing about this chair is over 130 years old, and we have 4 of them. We contacted Alison Purchase, who was a great-granddaughter from the Emmett side of the family, and she donated the 4 chairs. She had them refurbished and donated them to Botha House for our centenary, which was obviously May 2020, 100 years.
Wow.
So she donated the 4 chairs. So we've got 1 in here, 1 in that bathroom, and in the other deluxe suite and bathroom. In here we have the roll top tower. Now that is original. The shower obviously isn't. But, this is what we call a standard suite, which you can see is slightly smaller. There's lots of wedding glitter and also beautiful views. But the chairs that I mentioned, they were refurbished for and donated to Botha House during 2020 by Alison Purchase. She was William Cheer Emmett's granddaughter. So that's the Emmett, that's Annie's side of the family. Right, so there's the hatch, that we saw going into the dining room. That's the hatch. This is the tea kitchen. And here's the kitchen. Now, the kitchen has changed quite a lot, because obviously it had to cater for bed and breakfast. That was a coal-fired stove in there. So they used to cook on coal stoves and all those grand things. And the kitchen obviously is brand new. And there is some more crockery and cutlery that was found upstairs. And there is the servants' bell. And what I'll do is I'll ring it for you.
Oh, wow.
So you can see they're all marked with the bedrooms and the dining room. To help you. Oh, I didn't show you the grandfather clock. Apparently also original and still works. This was the laundry. It's now the office. But it was the laundry. And if you go out through that door, there are 2 courtyard suites. Now they used to be one long room. And Louis Botha, Louis Botha's grandson, can remember eating in that room, sitting there eating with the staff and having their meals with the staff. And he relates the story up against the one, all along the one wall was filled with books. And he relates the story of a snake being found amongst the books and having to throw the snake out the window while the children were sitting there eating. Again, all the crockery that you see is original. And that's all the monogrammed silver. You'll see here, all the silver was, silver, cutlery, bits and pieces were given to Annie Botha as a present by Sir Frank Reynolds. And all of the silver is from Mappin and Webb in London. And all of that was shipped out to South Africa and then brought by cart and train up to Botha House. Okay. So here's you'll see it's all monogrammed with BH. Everything that's monogrammed with BH was the original silverware from Mappin and Webb in London. Wow. And as I say, a gift from Sir Frank Reynolds. And then of course you have the screen over there in that corner. That was embroidered by the 5th Regiment of British officers when this was a convalescent home from 1943 to 1946. It was a convalescent home. And what had happened was no one was using the home, nothing was happening to it, and he died. And they asked General Smuts if it could be used as a convalescent home. And that's how that came about. Those were the garages, you know, that I showed you on the original painting of Botha House. They've now been converted into 3 suites. So that is another area of the house that's changed dramatically, because that was a garage and storeroom, and the back end of it was used for staff dining. You know, they had the courtyard suite and this where they would have staff dining, and staff beds would be set up there. That is the forest, the Umdoni Park forest that you're looking out over, because you know I said this is all part of the same. So you've got Umdoni Park Forest, you've got the Umdoni Golf Club, and you've got Botha House, all part of the same estate. A staff house, a butler's. Some people say it was the butler's house. I don't think they had a butler. It was staff quarters. It has also changed quite a lot. It used to be a long, slim house, and we built it out because now we've turned it into 2 double bedrooms with a kitchen, and it's a little self-catering unit for Botha House. So people can come here with their children and just have a lovely time. We've got an outdoor shower because there's only one shower in the cottage. So we built an outdoor shower, and we built in a little sort of Brian entertainment area on that side. But there is so much more history to the place because you've got all the staff who've been here all their lives and have worked here and served Botha House all their lives.
And they grew up here?
They grew up here. A lot of them grew up here, yes. They've been here all their lives. The different guests that have stayed, the different people who have managed the house and run the house, you know, since 1937 when Annie died. Annie was handed the keys by Sir Frank Reynolds on the 16th of May, 1920. She got the keys to the house.
So it's under a year?
Yes. Yeah, less than a year. Yeah, it was August 1919 that he died, and she got the keys in May 1919.
Yeah, it's less than a year.
Yeah. Oh. And then, as I say, she lived here from 1920 to 1937. She died in the house. And then we've had various prime ministers stay. F.W. de Klerk, and he used it quite a lot. The last visit I can find recorded by a prime minister is 1994, and it was F.W. George VI, I think it's George VI. I'd need to check that for you. But George VI, his wife Queen Elizabeth, and Princess Margaret were coming on holiday. Too windy. Were coming out on holiday. They were going to stay here. And he died before they came.